This is the start line of the Santa Vall in Girona. 2 days, about 200 kilometers of riding. Should be a good, fun experience. I'm definitely not here to race, just make up the numbers. Party pace for me, but I can't wait to see what a gravel is like here in Girona and see how the bike performs. And since I'm riding in Spain, it kind of makes sense to ride a Spanish bike, and I am. The brand new Guava Bikes, a new company based out of Barcelona with a shop in Girona. They've been going for about 2 years and they sell direct through their website, and they lent me their bike for the weekend. I've done a fair few gravel events, but this is my first race lining up with a roll call of pros and ex-World Tour riders on the start line. And that meant one thing: the pace from the gun was blistering. It was full gas, pedal to the metal, and straight into a lung-busting climb that shocked my poor cold legs, setting my heart rate straight into the red. As the miles flew by, the group gradually thinned around me, but the pace never let up. The course though was fantastic. A really nice mix of smooth, wide open gravel roads to tight, twisting single track in the woods, lots of fun, rocky descents, and the occasional stretch of tarmac. It was fast, it was technical, and it definitely demanded good bike handling skills. Thankfully, my years of mountain biking paid off. After 80 kilometers of flat out racing, my group crossed the line in under 3 hours. The hardest I've ridden a bike in a very, very long time indeed. How was it? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I just enjoyed it. We got a guy, this super guy, super strong, eh?
It's a train, a locomotive. Yeah, thank you.
Someone has to do it.
So while I was in the open men full of the weekend warriors, this lad here was in the pro men category. What's it like? What's it like at the pointy end of the race?
It was brutally hard.
I saw them go off, it looked fast. So was it like just full gas inside first climb?
Full gas, straight for the gun. I don't think I saw less than 400 watts the whole time.
So with stage one done, let's take a closer look at the bike I've been riding. So first of all, it's a cool looking bike, and there are up to 100 colours available. This is a lovely olive green, and I think it's perfect for a gravel bike. So a full carbon frame and fork, space for 45, maybe 50mm wide tyres, and it's sporting a 45mm WTB Riddler tyre with loads of clearance, as you can see. It has a down tube compartment for your tools and uses a fiddle lock system, so very easy to get out your tool bag in there. So that's really neat. Every bike company doing down tube storage has their own system, and they're all different, but this one works really well. Look how simple that is. That is really, really smart. And this is their SRAM Force Eagle setup with the wide range cassette on the back, which I'll probably need today. We're 42 up front, full internal routing up front with their own handlebar and stem, but a nice round seat post and external seat clamp out back, and also an external BSA 68mm threaded bottom bracket, and a geometry available in 4 sizes. Not the most progressive in terms of angles, but kind of par for the course for a gravel bike these days. Got mounts for mud guards, extra bottles, and a top tube mount, and available in up to 100 colours. You can customise the bike through their online configurator, and this I think is a very splendid olive green.
9
AM on the start line for stage 2. A fairly chilly morning, but with the sun out, it was set to warm up nicely by lunchtime. Pretty good for February. Today's route was longer, and I promised myself I'd take it easier, and I did, maybe about 5% easier. Gravel racing is tough. Flat out from the gun, full gas, just absolutely tanking along. But what fun, having a great time. The start was still full gas, reminding me of my old road racing days, and by the time we hit the main climb of today's route, I settled into a nice, fast but sustainable rhythm. My legs are on fire. Just done a monster of a climb. Stunning though, but absolutely brutal. Just on and on. and now some sweet downhill.
This longest day showcased an even greater variety of Girona's famous gravel, and I now see why it's called a gravel paradise. The terrain is fast, fun and constantly changing, so you never get bored. It's also very technically demanding in places, which I absolutely loved. I saw a lot of crashes and punctures, but thankfully managed to avoid trouble by picking good lines and staying light over the rough stuff and not going 100%, probably about 85% on the technical stuff.
Horrendous.
There's a lot of debate about the so-called spirit of gravel and where it's alive or dead. At the sharp end of the race, where the stakes are higher than ever before, it's probably dead. But in the middle of the pack, among the weekend warriors, it's still very much alive and well, and I definitely found the spirit of gravel. I found myself riding with the same people across both days. Impressive, given nearly 500 people on the start line. We worked together, looked out for each other and offered encouragement when needed, like when I was suffering on the last climb of the route. We weren't really racing each other so much as racing together, and it was brilliant, brilliant fun.
And that is the finish. What a day, what a weekend.
Good job now.
Mate, you were a star. And you got back with a puncher.
Yes.
You were strong. Like an ox.
Felicidades.
Oh, gracias.
Yeah, take a picture of us.
Yes. Cocoa Pops and donuts for post-ride food. Pretty amazing. I mean, Joe's loving it. It's like being at home, isn't he? Like your normal post-ride food, isn't it? Yeah, same. Can't beat a bowl of cereal and 2 donuts. Well, there we go. What a day, what a weekend, and I've won a mug as a souvenir. Very nice. And also have some very tired legs as a souvenir to take it home too. But a great event, I can highly recommend it. And while it's a race and there are lots of pros really battling for top positions, I have my own race with some people around me for whatever position I finish in, which I don't really care about. It's taking part. And although I'm riding as fast as I could, I still enjoyed it. And the riding out here is truly spectacular. A real variety of trails, from wide open gravel, narrow single track through the woods, some big climbs up in the hills around Girona, some lovely descents, some really quite techy descents as well. A bit of mud in places because it rained during the week, but mostly dry. Some nice grippy red sand as well, so really good riding. It can make riding gravel back home in the UK after this event pretty tough, it got to be said. And it's sunny as well. The weather is lovely. It's about 17, 18 degrees. I'm wearing a short sleeve jersey. Got my legs out as well, so not really working on a tan, but yeah, lovely, lovely day. And what about the bike? Well, I really liked it.
For a bike's first real ride to be straight into a race, it's a serious test and one I don't recommend. 2 days of riding isn't a long-term review either, but it's definitely enough to put any bike through its paces and get a good first impression. And this bike passed with flying colours.
I hadn't ridden it before the event on Saturday, which is not ideal preparation, but considering I'd never ridden it before, it fit me perfectly and felt great from the start. And didn't give me any issues. I had no mechanicals, no punches, so reliability was really good. And I definitely appreciated having the Eagle cassette, because some of the climbs, let me tell you, they were steep, long and grinding. I was glad of the wide range gearing on a bike. And then the bike itself, well, full carbon frame and fork, reasonably typical geometry of a bike like this. It's not super slack or super progressive in numbers, but numbers that work really well and a good fit for me. I rode in the drops almost the entire time, which is something I never do. So nice high front end, quite a shallow drop as you can see here, slightly flared in the drops as well. So really comfortable position, definitely a fast riding bike on the smoother gravel, but handled the descents really well too. That nice balance of kind of lightweight steering, quite nippy and agile, but also pretty planted and sure-footed at high speed.
If there's one thing I would change though, it's the handlebar stiffness. I don't mind the shape and design, they're fine, but spending long periods of time in the drops, thanks to a good fit of the bike for me, over rough, high-speed descent left my hands feeling really battered and sore. So some more compliance or flex in the drops would have gone a long way to providing a smoother ride.
And that down tube storage didn't rattle at all. Nice to have all your tools and spares hidden away inside a down tube, away from the mud and crap, and not a saddlebag, which I saw many caked in mud. So definitely I'm a fan of down tube storage, and this is the neatest one I've seen so far because it has a very simple fiddle lock mechanism which works really well. No dial, just snaps in place with no effort required. It's a bike that also looks good too. I like the olive green. I think it's a fantastic colour. It looks really good, dirty and muddy like it is now. Nicely proportioned, a sloping top tube, a skinny rear stays. Also quite a comfy bike as well. Some of the trails are really rough and rocky in places, but the bike was pretty smooth. Not like a magic carpet experience, but I didn't feel too beaten up compared to other bikes that are definitely stiffer, but enough stiffness for powering up the steeper climbs and when you're sprinting and accelerating, closing gaps, because there were sections on the course where it felt like a road race. I was trying to hang onto the wheel in front and we're doing through and off, and that stiffness from the frame definitely came through in those situations. So definitely an event to put on your calendar next year, and Girona generally is a place to come. If you've not been before, you may have heard it's quite popular with roadies and now gravel cyclists. The whole town is really cool. It's a big town as well. It's busy, it's vibrant, it's exciting. And let me know if you've been out to Girona and what your experience is of this area by dropping a comment down below. And I'll put a link to Guava Bikes website down below if you want to find out more about this really interesting brand from Barcelona. Anyway, I've got a plane to catch, so I'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching.
Oh man.